rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, dear viewers, and welcome back. The marchers to Allah is a subject that was covered by so many scholars of Islam throughout the history of Islam. And one of the books worthy of noting in this regard is a book that was written by Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya titled Madarij al-Salikin. This is rather a book for those who wanted to expand, inshaAllah ta'ala, on the subject. Now, the march to Allah is the premise of our series. And in it, we will be, inshaAllah ta'ala, covering the journey. And there is a march, and the marching of itself is reference to the footsteps. In other words, that the journey is taken by and on foot. And it is an indication, rather, to the slow pace of walking towards a very long destination, which is the journey to the hereafter, journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The footsteps, they represent our lifespan and those elements of our lifespan. We have our seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, year, and our whole lifespan. Does the journey take up our whole lifespan? The answer, in short, is yes. Now, the journey in of itself, we will be, inshaAllah ta'ala, covering so many aspects related to the journey. And it is no different than a physical journey that one would take from point A to point B. Wanted to go on a trip. A person needs, first of all, a means of transportation. Let's say a car. For that car, a person will need fuel. That needs to be put in place. A person will need also a study about the distance, the requirements for that distance from A to B. In other words, there is a starting point and there is a destination. There's also things to be taken into consideration. Example, we need to put into consideration our rest stops, resting areas, a long journey. Also, things to be taken in consideration that there might be some obstacles throughout the journey. The car may break down. The travelers on that trip might be sick. There might be some trouble caused by some other evil individuals, thieves, criminals. No one is exempt from these kind of things. It is a very high possibility that these are there, and you could very well be a victim of their harm. Things to be taken in consideration is also provisions. What is it that I need to make it to from A to B? This journey in our physical world, we can definitely relate to it. Why? Because we've done it before. And we know what it takes to make it from A to B should we decide to take a trip. The journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolutely no different. Absolutely similar to the journey that one might take on a trip. Now, the journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a journey that is mandatory. Mandatory in a sense that everyone has to take it to make it to the hereafter. Now the question is it optional? In a sense that, do I have the option of not taking it? The answer is no. That simple. Do some of the sons of Adam make that option available to themselves? The answer is yes. But is it the right thing to do? Absolutely not. for us to understand how mandatory it is for every son of Adam to take up the journey, let's take an example that I personally can relate to. In Florida, we are used to hurricanes, and the season of the hurricanes usually covers most of the summertime. When there is a prediction of a severe hurricane to make landfall in one area, usually authorities will issue a mandatory evacuation for the whole area. That becomes mandatory because of the danger. The area is about to be hit by a hurricane, and that represents a danger for the people, for the properties, for everything. Some of the residents will abide by the law and listen to the advice, and then they would pack up and leave for safety. Some, they decide to stay in, board their homes in the hope that they would dodge the harm of the hurricane. Now, if you come down to the reality of it is, those who stayed behind, they made that option available to themselves. The journey that we're talking about to Allah is mandatory. No different. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. And to Allah is the best of examples. It is no different than the law that issued a mandatory evacuation for everyone to leave the area, and that is for every son of Adam has to leave this world. No different. Whether you made the option of taking up the journey and leaving for safety, or staying behind as an option that you made for yourself that was not given to you, it is no different. Everyone has to take the journey to the hereafter. Death is what Allah Ta'ala decreed upon each and every son of Adam. Every soul shall taste death, as Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala stated. Now, when it comes to the journey in of itself, there are difficulties. These are one of the things that we will be talking about. In the journey, there are ways to make it. What is that path to make it? There is a distance between A and B, and usually when we travel, we always try to make it the shortest distance because it is the quickest to make it. How is that short distance translated in this spiritual journey that every son of Adam has to take? Example again from our physical world. If from Florida we wanted to go to, for instance, to up north to Virginia or New York, there is an interstate called 95 on the East Coast, covers pretty much all of the eastern states along the United States. And for an individual to make it on the shortest time possible, will have to take a car and drive up 95 all the way north until he will get to his destination. There is another interstate that covers the west coast of Florida. It's I-75. The destination again, the original destination is New York or Virginia. One decided to take 95 and 75, which is on the west coast of Florida, and then he wanted to hit New York, which is on the eastern side. Now, 75 crosses right through Georgia, and he goes to Tennessee, and he goes up. That's the middle of the country. It goes straight to the middle of the country and it goes all the way up to the northern states. But where is New York? Over on the eastern side of United States. Is this individual who decided to take 75 to New York going to make it? The possibility is yes. But how long will it take this individual? He still have to reroute himself at one point to head back east towards New York. That is why in the journey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said for the sons of Adam to take to Allah and to the hereafter, it is set with a straight direction. The closest and the shortest distance rather from A to B is always the straightest. A straight distance is the shortest distance from between A and B. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the journey and called it as-sirat al-mustaqim. This is how things now are going to fall in place for us to see. As-sirat al-mustaqim is a straight path that connects the people in this world with the hereafter in the shortest of distance. And the quickest form to make it is for that distance to be straight and that path to be straight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the journey mandatory. Those who would opt not to take the journey, they would harm no one but themselves. Because at the end the journey is being taken, and it is taking its course with or without those who embark on it. Now, we need to know what that journey is like, and who is to make it. In other words, what are the provisions needed to make it to through the journey? And what are the obstacles in the journey? And how could a person protect and shelter himself from the harm and the danger of the journey? Is there a journey in the first place? All of these questions, inshallah, are going to, once we answer them, they will make it very clear, vividly clear, how the journey, first of all, is real, not fictional. How we are to take the journey for our safety if we want to make it to Allah and to the hereafter in the safest of ways. And the provisions and all of these details related to our journey, which makes it a real thing, not fictional, and not something to take for mere play, but rather it is very serious, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it serious, because your life is very serious, your death is very serious, the hereafter is very serious, and the last abode, the last residence for you in the hereafter is very serious. In other words, the whole subject is very serious, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us that seriousness in understanding and learning more about this very matter, because with it is the safety for every single individual who implements how to embark on the journey to make it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether we take up the journey and we opt not to, this is something that will define exactly what our residence is with Allah ta'ala. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us, inshallah, better understanding and better motivation to put that understanding to practice. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us more of the things we do not know. Stay with us, inshallah ta'ala, as we continue our program.
Allahu, Allahu, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah, Allah.